Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Here is our weekly watch list video. Enjoy. If you guys have watched any of the previous videos that I have made, the one thing that I first like to do every single time is break down /NQ, what we've seen last week, and then what we can expect to see within the coming week. And I'm going to do that, and then also I'm going to be breaking down something called the Wall Street Index on IG, which is basically like an over-the-weekend futures where it tries to predict what futures will be opening at on Sunday. And as you guys can see here, now it's not perfect by any means, and let's see here. Actually, before, interesting. So before, when I looked at this like, what was it, an hour ago, this was down roughly 0.8%, simply from, if you guys have seen in the news here as of, I believe it was today, that Canada has enacted some tariffs here on the United States. And I'm not sure if this might be, let me see. Let's see the weekend Wall Street. I'm not sure if that's behind, because the last time I looked, it looked like it was down a decent amount. Yes, here we go. So right here, you can see the NASDAQ is roughly going to be opening down 1.55% or 332 points. Now, this is really hard because this isn't a futures market, so it's not totally accurate, but I have seen this sometimes be really accurate. So from that tariff news, you guys can expect to see a hefty gap down here on the NASDAQ and on the ES and YM as well. So when you're doing analysis, put this into the back of your mind of coming into the futures open that I'm looking for these setups, but off of the futures, this is a pretty bearish look here because we're going to be gapping down, and really all that did was put in a double top right here, put in a lower high right here, strong reversal bar, and now we're going to be opening somewhere around in here. So with this gap down that is going to be expected to have, the question is this hold a higher low and then try to rally back to the upside and hold either like 21,112.92 or come down and hold 27,1705? Or on the flip side, is this the lower high that then takes us back down to this region down here at 2279.25? So those tariffs and trade war are not good in terms of what the market wants to see. I do expect to see quite heavy selling pressure here. So with this lower high and continuation below 21,935 and really 21,522.75s, below that, again, we have these lower targets of 27,1705. That would be the first area. So come Monday, if we can just get a gap down that holds the open, potential for a nice rally back and buy the open, where it's more of like they're buying the news in some sense that this might have been what was pricing in here on this downside move, where we went from 21,950 to a close of 21,550, so roughly a 400-point drop. Part of that could be from anticipation of Canada retaliating, which they've mentioned before with tariffs. Now they are going through with them. So keeping that on watch here from a weekly chart, this tried to put in a higher low. However, we're going to be likely opening somewhere in this region right here. And if we trigger this below 21,112.92, then shorts are on the table with potential down into this like 2279.25 area. So definitely an area to keep on watch here. Now, Tesla, I'm making this with the note in the back of my head. I know that the futures are going to be gapping down quite a bit, so a lot of this scenario probably isn't going to hold true, but on the off chance that it does, something I want to watch. So from an overall weekly chart perspective, Tesla looks really good over 418.55. Now, like I just mentioned, it's probably going to be gapping down into like 390s off the open on Monday. So the question is, does it rally $30 and get back over 418.55? And if it does, this weekly chart looks really, really good for this higher low. So essentially what this is coming down and doing is putting in a higher low for this trend resumption to come back up and take out this 488.54 high. So that is going to be what I'm watching. Not as interested in this if it's below this, especially below this weekly bar and below this prior pivot. But if we can get over 418.55 this week, this weekly chart does look pretty strong to the upside. And then Meta. The weekly chart looks really good. The daily chart is showing a bit more indecision. Like I mentioned, another one that's probably going to be gapping down quite a bit. So the question is, does this gap down hold? Ideally, we held up here and we opened over 703.56 for a A+ setup here on this failed breakdown. Weekly looks great for this trend resumption to the upside, targeting like 725s. However, likely to open down here. So the question for me is, if we come down into 682, does this hold right off the open, get some sort of strength, and then can we rally back up into 703.56, where you can see we're forming this double top here on the daily. So that will be my watch here, hold of 682.03, ideally right off the open, where we can get something that can get some nice strength and wash out for the back through open setup. Watching that, I really want to see it hold this low for also that potential higher low here on that 15-minute as well. And then the last one, while the market is pulling back some, interesting to note that Google had relative strength. We actually closed well above its opening print here. When the market was closing at its low and dropping 400 points, this was trying to hold up. Now, I get in the after hours, this is selling off some from the post-market session here. However, if we got over 205, that would be a dream world setup here for this breakout. And if this breakout wants to hold, it has some room here on the daily for at least a measured move of sorts. But looking at this base right here, we based basically since the middle of December, and now we're finally breaking out into February. So if this wants to hold and open over 205, puts us on the table up into then this 210 psych region above, and that is going to be what I'm going to be watching here this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let us know down below what you are watching, and as always, trade safe, and I hope you guys all have a great week. Thank you.